Okay, this is Dave, Code 6 Customs. If you found this video, you probably already know that I build custom watches. Doing this video primarily to check out camera angles and lighting for something I'm about to do on Whatnot. Whatnot is a kind of a live auction sales platform. If you don't have the app, go get it. But I'm about to do a live stream build on Whatnot. So I wanted to check out the angles and make sure I can do it. So my victim today is this build. I called it the Stormtrooper because black and white. And looking at it, every time I looked at it, I said, you know, that would really look better with a black date wheel. And now that I've said it out loud, it doesn't look right with a white date wheel. So I have this movement here with a black date wheel. So now for me, it's easier just to swap movements. I could take the date wheel off of one, put it on the other, but it's the same amount of work. So basically what I'm going to do is real quick, if I can real quick, take you through what it takes to swap a movement out. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the bracelet, get that out of the way. Fairly simple process. You use the pusher, you pop the spring bar, it shoots across the room, and you repeat on this side. Didn't shoot across the room, I kept it. Sometimes they come out real easy, sometimes not, but this one did. So we're going to put the bracelet off to the side. Now we're working with just the head of the watch. I'm going to remove the case back with the case back tool. So for any of you that use these, you know that it is the standard Rolex case back tool actually works on these. So once we remove the case back, we're going to get that out of the way. What we can see here is this particular, I use a pusher for a lot of things. Probably shouldn't, but I do. This particular case that I used was a little larger than the movement, so I had to use a plastic spacer ring, which there's a time and a place for it, and this was it. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. All right. Now, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove the stem. Now, I want to unscrew the stem until it comes off the threads and it's free. But you want to keep it on the NH series in running position. So if I was to wind it, you know, it's in winding position, but it's running. You do not want to remove the stem in any other position or you're going to mess up the keyless works. So, I don't know if you could see it, there's a very small piece right here that I have to push to remove the spring, to remove the crown. So the crown is out to running position. I'm going to get in here and I'm going to do that. I'm going to remove the stem. Boom, we're going to put that aside. In case you're wondering if I'm fumbling around, this is what I'm working with right now. So, trying to keep the camera angles right and trying not to fumble. Trying to fumble as little as possible. So the way I take the movements out is I have the movement pad, I get a second movement pad, and we just flip. From there you could just take the case off. Set that aside. Now we have, all right, I had to pause that for a second. My dog was getting into something. So now we have the dial hands and movement out of the watch. I'm going to have to remove the hands to make this happen. So to do that, the best way to do that, I'm going to reinsert the crown gently until it pops in back into winding position. Pull it out, and I want to line the hands up all in a row. I'll wait till the second sand get where it needs to be. Seconds are a very long time when you're waiting for something to happen. So I set the hacking motion right there, so I can use this little dial protector, which I'm going to slip up under the hands and over the indices, okay? And that protects my dial when I come in these hand removal tools, which I'm going to just get under all three hands and give them a pop. As they jump around. So I'm going to recover the hands. I'm going to put them all in one spot, so I know where they're at when it's time to put them back on. Boom. Boom. And the second sand went over here. Boom. All right, so now I got a naked movement. If you remember, I was in time setting position, so I want to put the crown back in to winding position. I'm going to flip it again, put it in this movement holder, which is specifically made for the NH series movements. And I'm going to remove the stem again. Once again, make sure your balance wheel's moving. So I remove the stem in the correct position. Turn it back over. So now we're ready to take the dial off and swap in the new movement. So I'm going to take a screwdriver, which I didn't lay out ahead of time. Like I said, I'm going to take a screwdriver. You'll see these little notches here between the movement holder and the dial. You want to go under there very gently and kind of twist it up on both sides. You want to be gentle with this because you don't want to mess up the dial feet. Once you get it to that point, the dial will come off and you're down to the bare movement. So this is a perfectly good movement right now. So I'm going to set aside, I bring in its replacement. All right. Now the replacement has black date wheel. So, go back to my movement holder. Very hard to do with a camera. Set it in the movement holder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to test function. It's in winding position, so I'm going to wind it. I'm going to make sure the balance wheel is moving, which it is. I'm going to go to date setting position, and I'm going to move the date wheel. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And I'm going to get in there real tight, and I'm going to make sure, can't see it on camera, but everything's working as far as time setting also. So I'm going to return it to running position. I'm going to insert the dial. There's dial feet, which will line up with dial holes, which will line up the date wheel. And unless you're 100% sure you're in there, you don't want to press hard yet. And there we are. So there it is. There it is with the black date wheel. Looks good. I want to test the date again. One more time. to make sure I have date changing function. And then what I'm going to do is run the hands all the way around to midnight and make the date pop, because that's going to make sure when I put my hands on that the date will turn over at or around midnight. Now I see we're getting close. It started to move the date wheel. I'm going to go real slow because I want this as exact as possible. I shoot for, my tolerance for me is 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after. I try to do it 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, but right now date just changed, so now I know I'm directly at midnight. I'm going to set the hour hand first. I'm going to get my trusty Rodico, boom, and my hand setting tool. Try to center this as much as possible. Pick up my hour hand, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this because I don't know. I'm concentrating on the hands, but I'm going to set the hand on as lined up with 12 as I possibly could be. Once I'm there, I just want to make sure before I press it down that it's as dead on as it can be. Very delicate kind of shit. When I'm there, which I am, push straight down. And try to keep even pressure. So as you can see, the hour hand is kind of pointing down. So I'm going to put it back down. I'm going to put some pressure on the back end of the hand. Try to raise it up a little bit so that it clears the indices, and you can see that. Now it's on straight. I do this throughout the build. I run it around and I try to make sure that the date is changing at or around midnight. Bink, right at midnight. I'm going to do the same thing with the minute hand. I'm going to get it in position. We're going to try to put it on dead on midnight. I believe that's his fucker. See? All right, this is when we put the hand down. We take a breath. Because we had it right, we just fobbled it because I'm doing it on camera. Let's get it in here one more time. Like I said, I'm going to go as close to 12 as possible. It's in there. It's on the pinion. And it's off again. But this is good because it's going to assure that it's dead on. I use a Rodico to steady things. That's as lined up as it's going to be, and I put even pressure to put it down into place. If you look at it from the side, hopefully you can see the minute hand is clearing the hour hand, but it's a little off. So I'm going to put a little pressure backwards on it to pick it up a little bit. And once again, I'm going to run it around the dial to make sure I have no clearance issues. I want to hold this in so that I don't muck the hands with my fingers. I want to make sure we're clearing all the indices. I want to make sure the hands are clearing each other. And I want to make sure that we are very close to midnight when we pop. Bink. Perfect. Almost. It's about a minute off. But if you're worried about that minute, tough shit. So, the second hand. This is where a lot of people go wrong. And what I do is I get down as close as I can, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, down as close as I can. So I can kind of see it from the side. I don't believe that's on. That is on, okay. So we got the second hand on. Actually first try, which is kind of nice. But I have a little, possibly a little clearance issue I see with the minute hand. So I'm gonna just gently kind of put the minute hand down just a little bit and check the clearance again. Sometimes you can give it a little help. And now I have the clearance that I need among the three hands. Put it back into running, and boom, we have life. I am the giver of life. So now our next step is to recase this. Get my case. I want to clean the sapphire. Make sure there's no dust on the inside. I do that with microfiber cloth. I do that with a little air blowy tool. I don't know the correct name for that. And I'm taking a look at this through my magnifying glass under light. Magnifying headset anyway, under light. And I am reasonably satisfied with that as far as for right now goes. So, watch is still in running position. I'm going to flip it. And these movement holders are great because they don't foul the hands. So you can have it upside down, the second hand is still running, and you're not screwing anything up. I'll take my pusher again. I'm going to get in on the stem removal. Let's make sure it's still going right. You don't want to, if something doesn't feel right, you just don't want to go with it. You want to go make sure. And something doesn't feel right here. Give me 1 second here. It's because I'm pushing it with the wrong goddamn end. There we go. Now I got some pressure on it. What is going on here? I said we're going to remove the stem. Why are we not removing the damn stem? There it is. Okay. So now we can flip the movement back over. All right. We're going to recase it. And what I like to do to recase it sometimes, a lot of people just use the, and I see a piece of something on this dial, so I'm going to try to blow it off. I use the case back to raise it up a little bit so that the case slides down over it easier. I'm going to kind of line it up as best I can because I know this dial sets, this thing sets in the case already. I know it sets in a little loose from when I initially pulled it out because I needed a movement holder. So now we have the new movement with the black date wheel in place. Kind of check alignment. I'm going to reinsert the original stem because that was already cut to the proper length. And that's nice. It goes straight into winding position, so it is correct. I'm going to replace the plastic movement spacer, which, I mean, they're a necessary evil sometimes. I don't particularly like it, but it is what it is. So we're just going to kind of move things around a little bit until this thing drops in place. So it has the correct spacing all around the movement. There we go. That's it. I want to re-grease. I want to re-grease my gasket. Boom. With stuff that's made specifically for that. I'm going to lay that into the gasket channel. I don't know if I'm using the right terms, but that sounds good to me on the fly, right? Lay that in there just right. I'm going to get my case back. I'm going to make sure my case back is clean, because it's clear. As clean as possible. Because if I do see a piece of dust, I'm going back in and I'm taking it out. But for the purposes of this build, that's clean. I'm going to lay it in. I'm going to screw it down. I'm going to hand tighten it. Pick the watch up. Make sure I have all functions. Pull it out to date setting position. I'm sorry. Pull it out to date setting position. We got to change the date. I'm going to run the time around. We're going to, hopefully it's still setting, and it should be. If it's not, there's a hole in the space-time continuum, because it still should switch right around midnight. Bink. Perfect. Let's run them out to 10 and 2 like they do with the Rolexes, because why not? I'm going to screw the crown in. I'm going to give it just a little extra twist with the case back tool, just to make sure we're down as hard as we can. We're going to reapply the bracelet. So when you're doing the bracelet, this end of the clasp is always going to be at 6. So we're going to give it a flip. We're going to put the spring bar in. Lay it in there. My freaking springboard total. Look, the entire build, and now I can't find it. There it is. So we're going to line it up. I'm going to press, kind of push one end kind of down and in. I'm going to keep pressure on the end link as I move the spring bar in. You have to be careful here because you don't want to scratch your case. And if you see that this one came out. So now I'm going to push this one in from this angle. Now they're in. You move it around until it seats in the holes. And you're good. All right. Now it's time to go for the other end. I probably should disassemble the bracelet so that I'm not fumbling, but I'm going to give it a shot this way. It's much easier if you take a screw out of the bracelet and pull it into 2 pieces rather than leave it in one shot. But I'm going to try to gangster this one. This you won't be able to see, but the time it saves will be great. So we lay one end of the spring bar in. I keep pressure on the end link. Run the pusher down. Push the other end in. Give it a little wiggle until it pops in, and boom. We have a completed watch with a black date wheel, which I think looks a lot better. So I said in the beginning of this, I was doing this to check the camera angles because I'm going to be doing a live build of a custom watch on Whatnot. Whatnot is a selling platform where you do live streams. So I'm going to live stream build a watch. And what I didn't say yet, but I am now, so I'm going to be giving away a watch at the end of that live stream build. So anybody that's in the room that enters the giveaway, you have a chance to win one of my watches. So these are the watches I have in stock right now. They're all listed in Whatnot under the buy it now. But if you don't have the app, go get it. Look me up. Code 6 Custom Watches, one word. It's going to be on Sunday, August 25th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And I hope to see you there. If you have any questions, you can contact me through the website at www.c6cwatches.com, or my Instagram is @c6cwatches.